Hi, I'm Skinny Cheeks. Today I'll be going through the week 4 patch notes. Not a ton of changes, but definitely a couple of significant ones here. As a reminder, next week will be the last week of changes for the PTS, so that's when I'll start working on my build videos for the Waking Flame DLC. So first off, one of the big ones, Diamond's Victory. This set now better follows its statement of requiring an ability to cast, and as such will no longer trigger from core combat skills such as light attacks or bash. The developer comment says this change was done to fix multiple workarounds where you could get stacks of the set bonuses without incurring a cost or gameplay pattern change when its power is built around such. So I know a lot of people are going to hate this. It went from being a set that you could use in pretty much any PvE setup to one that only certain classes or specific setups will use now. When you are setting this up, you're going to have to make sure that you actually have abilities slotted on your bar that will proc both versions of this. So Necros and Wardens should be fine with this, with their Blastbones and Shulks being cast every third skill, and then some other classes will still be able to use it situationally based on their skill bar setups. So for example, a Magicka Sorcerer could use it, but probably only if they're using Elemental Weapon or Arterial Burst as their spammable, since those will proc the ranged supremacy. I don't think I see a lot of other classes getting great use out of it anymore for PvE. Nightblades could potentially use it with Ellie Weapon as well, but then once you get into Execute, you are spamming Impale and you won't be proccing the ranged supremacy. If you did body the set though, your back bar abilities could still proc it, but you need to make sure that the rotation had you going back there every 5 seconds to keep it up, and it seems like it'd be a little more trouble than it's worth. We'll see though. It's only been a day since the change, and I think people are still trying to figure out where it's going to be good. But I think for sure with Necros and Wardens, and then Sorcerers if you're using Ellie Weapon. As far as my overall thoughts on if this is a good change or not, I'm kind of undecided really. On one hand, it was ridiculously easy to keep up without really any extra effort in most cases, mostly due to your light attacks being able to proc it. On the other hand, it kind of sucks now that only certain classes will really benefit from the set. So I don't know, maybe it would be better if light attacks still activated it, but not other core combat abilities like roll dodging, crouching, and bashing. So not a huge deal overall in the long run. If it does stay this way, you'll just want to put it on a class that can use it well, and then if you are on a class that can't, you'll have to move to a different setup. The next change is to the set Grave Stake Collector. Fixed an issue where this set could fail when multiple players used it. Fixed an issue where this set had a hidden 1.1 second cooldown in addition to not being able to have multiple stakes active. This isn't a super common set, just gives some sustain back on kills if you collect the stake that is dropped, but bug fixes are always good. For the dungeon sets, Grizzly Gourmet fixed an issue where consuming multiple of these delectable sweet rolls too quickly could cause their visual effects to stick to your character forever. Take your time to chew and enjoy the flavor. Rush of Agony fixed an issue where the pull from this set could fail in many cases. And then next up, we had a pretty juicy buff for the new PvP set coming out, Dark Convergence. Increased the damage of this set by approximately 83%, increased the snare potency of this set to 60% up from 30%, reduced the cooldown to 15 seconds down from 20. So the developer comment says, due to the large delay of this set, we're seeing a lot of situations where players can easily walk out without investing in a roll dodge or ability to escape, making the reward of damage feel relatively lackluster when it does work. We've decided to up the snare potency to improve the risk of not immediately trying to flee and increase the payout to ensure those who don't respect the void are sent to it. So that screenshot I have here is what the set was in the week 1 version with about 6,400 weapon and spell damage. So that tooltip hit for those in the center of the explosion is now going to be around 32k-ish according to that 83% buff, plus 10% more for each enemy hit. Man, this looks like it could be really nasty. Bigger snare and shorter cooldown too, just buffs all over. This is shaping up to be a pretty interesting set. And then the last combat related change is to the set Yandir's Might. They fixed an issue where the weapon damage from Giant's Endurance did not apply to your abilities. So for anyone unaware, on live right now, you get the weapon damage on your stat sheet, but it doesn't actually add any damage to your abilities. So if you are using it on live, you might want to find another set to use until this is fixed for the next DLC. And then this set now grants Giant's Endurance for 5 seconds per stack rather than indefinitely. This set no longer requires you to have 5 pieces active to retain the stack since they are not permanent. This should fix multiple issues and inconsistencies with this set. So I'll start with the positives to this. Of course, it being fixed is the main one, but now that it is a timed buff, it can be front barred, which gives it a new playstyle option that it couldn't be used for previously. However, I'm going to throw the other half of that same point into the negative section. We already have sets like Zogven, Berserking Warrior, Twice-Fanged Serpent, and others that work in the same sort of way. I thought Yandir was cool because it kind of did its own thing. It had its own unique twist on the building of stacks mechanic because you could hold that bonus indefinitely until you wanted the burst that would come from your heavy. So if you wanted to wear it for ad waves in a trial, once it was built up, you could carry it from encounter to encounter, and it was a really strong option. But now you are forced to be in combat on your active bar with it and scoring a critical hit within each 5-second period, or else the bonus falls off. This isn't so bad for certain encounters, but typically the types of encounters that it would work for now, you're going to get a little more out of using something like Berserking Warrior or Zogven, since crit chance is typically better bang for your buck than weapon damage. I think a nice compromise would be having it more similar to Sulk Zahn, where it lasts for 30 seconds. This would give you plenty of time to get from ad wave to ad wave without it falling off, and it would still allow it to be used as a front bar option. One thing I will add is that it triggers off crit damage, and you can add a stack every half second, so theoretically if you were getting lucky with your crits, you could have it fully stacked up in 5 seconds, but in practice this won't always be the case. But even then, a 5-second buildup in that perfect scenario is still a long buildup for many trash waves that may only last a little over double that time. Not being able to keep that bonus on you for a longer duration really hurts this kind of use for it. So overall, in its current state, I think we'll probably see other sets that do a little better now as AoE trash options. Hopefully they can tweak this one a little further so it doesn't feel like just another set that we've gotten several times already in slightly different forms. Alright, that's going to do it for this one. Let me know what you think about the changes and if you have any ideas that could make them better. A big thanks to my current Patreon supporters. If you'd like to see how you can help support the channel through Patreon, I'll have a link in the description below. It really does help out a lot, so thank you so much to those of you that have already contributed. And a special thanks to Nicholas, Simon, Privy League Guild on PlayStation's EU server, Cougars Bay and the Cougar City Guild, Gandalf Legrees, Strideg, and Delta. Thank you all so much for stopping by. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.